welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to be continuing our job, fixing up Navi, getting him ready for the trip to Florida. We officially have about 24 hours until we're taking this bus to my friend's house where he's going to start packing his stuff in, and then he'll be leaving within the next week, starting to head to Florida. So today we got to finish the water system, fix some lighting that's broken, clean up a couple cabinets that are broken, and then make sure that this thing is just in tip-top shape for my friend. We're just going to start digging into this bus. As I've said in a previous video, or if you guys have been around here for a long time, this bus, Navi, was my home for about 5 years. I lived in this bus previously, and then we started building Ivan, which is my short bus. But this bus is kind of the bus that at this point I use myself. I let family and friends live in it. I let them travel in it. And this is just kind of like the big old family rig. Got a lot of love in this bus. Got a lot of history in this bus, which also means a lot of things have broken over the years. First thing we're going to fix is the water system. So over the summer, my sister Rachel was living in the bus, and I had the water system all on and running. Unfortunately, I never took the water system apart, and I left the water in the pump and water in the water heater, and everything froze and everything broke. So in the last video, we changed the water heater. In this video, we're changing the water pump. We've just got a big issue with the whole water pump thing. I ordered a water pump about 2 weeks ago on Amazon, this exact water pump actually, for Navi. And it's been delayed, and it just got delayed again, which means it's not gonna be showing up today. So Navi is going to get a donation from Ivan, and we're stealing Ivan's water pump. We're gonna throw it in Navi for the trip, and then whenever the new water pump comes in, we'll just throw it back in Ivan, and then we should be good to go. It's nice to have more than one bus on the property, and more than one water pump and heater and battery and solar component. It's just like you have to beg, borrow, and steal from each bus and rig, and you know, we only need one good rig to travel. That's my theory, you know? One good rig each trip, so, you know, it's not like Ivan's gonna go anywhere where we're gone. So I don't have the pump wired, but I did get it replaced back in, and I just added a switch to my pump. I never had one previously. It was always just on the fuse back in the back of the bus, which was pretty annoying when I wanted to turn the pump off because it was overrunning or I ran out of water and I had to run around the bus to pull the fuse out. Now there's just a switch right here in the back of the cabinet. I do have this faceplate that's on top of the pump and all the water components, and I did that because then this cabinet's still useful. I could just throw pots and pans in here and not have to worry about smashing my plumbing in the back. I put these holes in here so I can still touch and switch the relief valves just in case I need to switch any of the relief or ball valves or things. All I gotta do now is wire up that new switch, and then we should be good to go in terms of just putting this cabin back together and move on to the next task. All right, so the water pump is officially in. I gotta wait for the system to kind of warm up a bit in the barn, but then we're gonna test out the water system, make sure everything works, and then before this bus leaves the barn, we're gonna blow it back out so that the entire water system is gonna be decommissioned, and then when my friends get farther south, maybe, I don't know, south of Virginia or something, or Maryland, when the weather gets warmer, then they're just gonna fill up the tanks, pressurize the system, and then this bus will be good to go for the rest of the winter in the warmer weather, and then we don't have to worry about any more pipes freezing. Now, if you watched the previous video, you know that we worked on this front mirror, got this thing all fixed up, custom made it. It's gonna work for Florida, but my dad found a replacement. He got it overnighted. It showed up today. The bus is leaving tomorrow, so I wanna say thanks, Dad, for, you know, just somehow finding this and getting it shipped up here. So we're gonna actually take this one back off from the last video, replace it with the normal one. I mean, it was eventually gonna happen anyway. Okay, so we got the mirror on, but my dad I guess when he found this one, found the exact replacement model which had the heated mirror installed. So what I'm gonna do is actually install the heated mirror. They've never worked since I've had the bus. I don't intend on really using them much because the bus is heading to Florida, but I might as well wire it instead of letting it dangle. So I gotta unfeed it all the way up through the mirror, all the way down to here. It actually looks like it was disconnected at some point and never reconnected, so maybe that's why it doesn't work. We'll try to find the other wires and see if we can make it work, you know, just in general, just for fun. But if not, I'll just tie up the wires, get this project done, and then we'll move on to something else. The front mirror's done. Gonna get working on the inside. Gotta get the heat turned on, it's a little cold in here. I think the next thing on the list is gonna be trying to figure out why these LEDs up here don't work. This side does work. You can see that it kind of shines up along the whole back. They're also in the back section. This side doesn't want to work for some reason. It worked this summer, so I'm gonna hope that it's probably just like a loose connection somewhere in here or up in the front. Maybe it's a fuse. Not too sure, but we're gonna have to figure it out. There's still more than enough light in here for them to be able to use the bus, but it would be really nice just to be able to run just on 12 volt, because the one thing about Navi, which is different than any other bus I've built, and I probably wouldn't do this again, all of these lights that you see are 120 volts, which, yes, they're LED light bulbs. They still use a heck of a lot of power. These lights and the lights that are in the back and the lights that are in the hallways, they're all 12 volt. The ones in the hallway are the original ones from the original school bus. I kept them. I used it right here, and I also used 2 up in the front, but those are all 12 volt, low power, much more efficient. So I would like to get this one running just because then they'll use less power on the solar system, but worst case scenario, they can just use the other lights. To anyone out there, stick with 12 volt. As much of your rig that you can do 12 volt, do in 12 volt. As much as you can stay away from 120, stay away from 120. Back when I was building Navi, all the connections for this side of the LEDs I remember were right up here behind this cabinet. So my first guess is going to be right back here that these wires are disconnected or something, and that's the reason why these lights aren't working. I just have to reach back there and try to find them. That's exactly what happened. Oh man, a mouse chewed through it. Dang it. All right, this was not gonna be my first guess at a mouse chewed through the wire, but that's exactly what it looks like happened. I know that there were mice in here. That's where this hole came from right here. A mouse chewed up into the cabinet and then through. But this right here, they chewed through the wire in the insulator. Ugh. That's gonna be so hard to fix. Yep, that's the problem. Water pump works. Front mirror works now, upper lights are now fixed. There's a couple other things I want to fix on the bus, but what I'm going to do right now is start in the front and move my way back and just go through and kind of test things, see what's working, what's not. I'm going to take some black tape and just mark off whatever buttons here don't actually do anything anymore, just so that there's a little bit less confusion when my friend's driving the bus. I didn't know Navi had these features when I bought it. I found out as I, learned just like everyone else when they buy a bus. So I got really lucky, but if you can get some of these, I think they're pretty cool and have been really useful. So over here, I've got some things that I know work. Right here, we've got cruise control, which the focus is working really well. So right here, we got cruise control, just our on off, our set. Right here, we've got a retarder brake, which is on the transmission. I've got an RPM control, which is for when I start the bus, it revs the engine up. And then my lights, and then my, level of lights that are on the dash. Over on this side, I've got these lights, which are my upper strobe lights. Turn them on, we get an upper strobe light. This used to go to the emergency flashers for the kids. That doesn't work anymore. Don't have to worry about that one. So this one's gonna open and close the door. This one is the dome light, which is just right there. These two are the side lights, which are those. Windshield wiper fluid doesn't work. Wiper blades, they work. Wiper speed. And then this strobe light is actually no longer a strobe light. This is now the backup camera on off. Moving down to the bottom row, we have this one, which used to be the water pump for the engine, which would pump the fluid to the back of the bus for the heater. It's no longer used anymore. This is now the alternator connection, so I can control if the alternator is going to be charging the solar batteries or not. That's what that button does. Defrosters, fans, heaters, fans, mirror heaters, which I guess technically that works now, because we just put the heated mirror back in. And then the most important one, which is this one, which is the horn. Unfortunately, our horn's really sad right now because they got broken off by a tree branch last year, and now it's just a really sad horn. It used to sound a lot more like a train horn. We'll have to fix that eventually. All right, I think the barn and the shop are now warm enough where we can test out this water system. So what I got here is a water jug. I've got some extra PEX line. I've got an extra fitting, and I don't want to fill the tank pipe because I don't want water in the system. So I'm going to put a jumper line over. We're going to use this as our water tank so that we can pump it through the system. We'll test out the faucet, we'll test out the shower, we'll test out the water heater, and then we'll blow the system out with air so that we know that there's no water in the system. And then at least I'm sure that we can connect it all. It's all ready to go for when my friend gets to warm weather, but there will be no water in it, which means we won't have a risk of freezing again. I'm really sick of replacing water pumps and water heaters because I forget to replace things before winter. Word of warning out there to everyone, if you are at all in a colder climate where it gets below 32 degrees, please remember to winterize your RV and don't be like me. Houston, we have a problem. Definitely not working, definitely not priming. Dang it. What the heck? Are you kidding me? Okay, we were just finishing up the water system, and I heard something. So the water system's good. We fixed the pump, we got the water filter in, but there's a squirrel. There's a squirrel in my engine. Come on out, buddy. Oh my gosh. I hope I got that on camera. He just went like freaking Olympic 100-meter sprint up and down my bus. All right, well, there goes the reason why some of the electric didn't work and probably why I had to repair some wires. It was a squirrel, not a mouse. At this point, I've got nothing else really to fix up. It's gonna start being clean and make the back bed. So I'm gonna start in the back, start making my way forward and see if we can find anything else that needs to get fixed. But in the meantime, we'll start setting up the bed and start loading some stuff inside. The bus is preliminarily clean, we'll say. The barn is just really dusty and dirty, and my shoes are really dirty. So what I decided to do was we're going to take the bus out of the barn. We're going to take it back to the house. So I have a vacuum. I can put my cleaner shoes on. We won't be in the dust and dirt, and then I can just kind of do a final wipe down through, get this thing 100% clean, check the oil. I'm going to stop and fill the propane tank quick in town. And then we got to put some fuel in this thing. And wow, after like a year, this bus is going to be back on the road. I should probably check the registration and insurance. Gonna definitely check the registration and insurance. Propane completely failed. The fitting at the place that I went didn't work, so they couldn't actually fill the 29-gallon mounted tank. They did, however, fill a 20-pound tank, so I was able to plug it in so I can get the heater running in here just so while I'm cleaning. But it looks like when I'm heading south to go drop the bus off at my friend's place, I'm gonna have to find somewhere else to fill the propane. So the plan is back to kind of final cleaning, we'll call it. I've got a foam pad that I'm gonna be cutting for the back to make it fit perfectly. Then I can put a bed mat on it. Then I can clean out the toilet, finish cleaning out the fridge, make my way towards the front, finish packing. And as you can see, Navi is, I mean, pretty close to being pretty much done and clean. Last thing on the list is gonna be final check on the fluids, final check on the front, make sure that we've got everything in tip-top shape for the trip, and then we should be hopefully pretty much good to go. Well, looks like we're gonna be as good to go as ever. So at this point, it's just start the bus, head to my friend's house. This is gonna be the really painful moment where diesel is $5.21. Not as bad as it was last year, but still pretty bad. And this is gonna be a 100-gallon fill up, which pretty much means it's gonna be $521 to fill this thing because it was on completely empty. $521, bye-bye. Navi gets about 10 miles to the gallon, so, you know, we'll still get 1,000 miles, probably get the bus to about South Carolina before it needs to get another fill up. Then it'll be good to go pretty much the entire trip back to about Virginia. Fill it with a half tank, and then you're back to the Adirondack. It's really not that much to get around the country in this bus because the tank's so big. It just hurts so bad when you gotta fill it. Well, after a 3.5-hour trip down to my friend's house, we finally made it. The bus is completely clean, the bus is empty, the bus is happy, and it is officially time for him to head to Florida. So the only thing left is say bye to Navi, and in the next video, we're gonna be back in the shop. See you next time.